It's only taken the best part of a decade.
The next Conservative government will raise the inheritance tax threshold to £1 million.
But now that Lib Dem opposition no longer stands in the way, the Tories want to ensure that most people can pass their property tax-free to their children. By introducing a family home allowance for married couples of £350,000, estates of up to £1 million will escape taxation. David Cameron is expected to say, "We will take the family home out of inheritance tax. That home that you have worked and saved for belongs to you and your family. You should be able to pass it on to your children. And with the Conservatives, the taxman will not get his hands on it." Of course, the beneficiaries of this announcement are likelier to be here in the south, where house prices have raced ahead of the national average. And given that only 35,000 estates this year were actually hit by the tax, some will argue this, as much as anything else, shows where Conservative priorities lie.
Some of the very low-paid people who live in social housing may feel that this only applies to the rich, but there is a growing chunk of people who will be affected by inheritance tax. And I think it appeals to the older voters who are more likely to go out and cast their vote on May the 7th.
For Labour, a different take on tax, a bold 10-point plan to cut evasion and avoidance by £7.5 billion a year. The man who would be Chancellor also wants a review of revenue in customs, culture and practices, and will issue a challenge to the Tories to back action on non-DOMs.
We're going to set out legislation in our first budget to tackle tax avoidance. We're going to crack down on the hedge funds. We're going to abolish the non-domiciled tax status, which allows a few people not to pay the same tax as everybody else. I'm going to challenge the Tories, match us on our plan to tackle tax avoidance.
Increasingly, this election hinges on whether the sums add up. So Nick Clegg will cite data from the Institute for Fiscal Studies, which he claims proves the Tories have only identified £1 billion of a planned £12 billion cuts to welfare. It's his assessment that this welfare black hole will hit middle and low-income families hardest. Unfunded pledges or clearly costed policies, as always, who voters most believe will determine this election. Neil Patterson, Sky News.